All right, everyone. Hey, how's it going? Happy Wednesday, hump day. Yeah, sorry if I sound a little tired. I'm running on like 3, maybe 4 hours of sleep. Like I said in some previous streams, I work full time. School's going to be happening here soon, on top of working out, and then also pets and other family obligations. So I don't get much sleep. However, just want to thank the music today. It's from Legend of Dragoon. It is one of the games that we will be playing in my In Memoria playlist that I do on Saturdays and Sundays. Most likely, maybe after FF7. I'm not fully sure when we play it, but it's one of those kind of sleeper RPGs I never thought I would actually like. It was something I just saw at Toys R Us one day. I thought the cover looked cool, and I was freshly off of another Final Fantasy game and was still on the RPG hype, but I did not expect to actually like it as much as I did. And it's unfortunate that they didn't continue the series. Of course, they may have wanted to finish their story that they were telling with that game, but hopefully one day someone will come and pick it up and either continue the story. You might be able to get a nice little remake from the game, as long as Square Enix doesn't actually purchase the IP and make it themselves. It's no secret that I do not like the Final Fantasy VII remake all that too much. So the less IPs that Square Enix can get their hands on right now, the better, in my opinion. So today we're going to go ahead and play Vampire Survivors. It's one of those, as I've just learned as I was researching, because I couldn't figure out what genre to call games like Bro Potato, the Hololive version of these kind of games, or even Vampire Survivor. I have found out that there's many names to this genre, because it's not really a genre that had an official name. So I've heard Bullet Heaven, Roguelike Survivor, and then an auto shooter as well. Let's go with Bullet Heaven, or like a roguelike. Let's call it roguelike or Bullet Heaven. Okay, so yeah, Vampire Survivor is a Bullet Heaven. It was one of the first ones I played, due to wanting to find something I could play during my computer ethics class without it burning up my laptop battery at the time. And I freaking loved it. I unlocked almost everything, so we're going to actually start a new save when I go ahead and start doing this. I'm pretty sure we're going to be playing this for quite a while, because I'm trying to unlock everything again from memory without having to look it up. But I probably will have to look it up, because some of the unlock conditions for some of these characters are pretty wild, and something that you probably wouldn't be able to figure out on your own without a whole bunch of trial and error, and just keep replaying levels over and over and over. All right, so I got about an hour, as is tradition for the morning quickie. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. So let's do this thing. All right, there you go. Get nice and close to you, chat. Just want to that morning smell. Your morning smell. It's so delicious to me. Oh yeah, I'm tired making stupid jokes already. Okay, so yeah, the audio capture for some reason isn't working when I try to capture directly from this game, so we're gonna have to go directly to desktop audio. Yeah, I have it about where I want it to be. Okay, so all right. So generally, I don't like having too heavy discussions in the morning quickie. But I've been looking at news quite a bit lately, and I really just have to discuss it. It's no secret that my favorite game, and one of my most favorite games of all time, the one game that really got me into the kind of gamer I am today, was Final Fantasy VII. And after... I really have to use my keyboard? You know what? I'm just going to use the freaking mouse and keyboard. Forget this. Oh, because I have Twitch mode enabled. Oh, that sucks. No, hold on. No. We're going to quit. Forget that. Hold on. We're going to quit. Again, Like I was saying, Final Fantasy was one of those, was the game that really got me to kind of person I am today. And in terms of gaming. And I've been watching a whole bunch of news lately, especially after December Games Fest, which I didn't actually watch. But I did get enough coverage of it, especially since they did the official announcement of Final Fantasy Revelations. Final Fantasy VII Revelations, which is the third installment in the Remake series. And I've been, while reading the news, I did notice a whole bunch of, I guess I like to call gloating by the players who are, I feel, overly supportive of the game, almost toxically so, saying that us critics basically are rubbing in our face that because Hamaguchi, I believe that's how you say it, or Hamaguchi, is saying that sales are really good for Remake and Rebirth, the two previous entries in the Remake trilogy. And I have to say that here's a couple things. First of all, Hamaguchi just said that sales are going better than expected. What does that exactly mean? He gave no numbers. Now, also in the article, he did say that for some reason, under, I guess, obligation to the shareholder or something, there's some rule that he's not allowed to discuss exact numbers. Here's the thing. Square Enix, even if they don't quite technically talk about the actual numbers of their sales, they have no problem releasing announcements as well as like some kind of picture or art saying thank you when they reach a certain sales milestone. This happened for Octopath Travelers, Bravely Default, and I'm pretty sure that this definitely happened like at the 5 million mark. I believe that they did, if I remember which game actually sold like 5 million, but they had no problem doing that. Now, if Remake and Rebirth got those kind of sales, they would have 100% made a similar announcement, especially with a game series that's so controversial at this time. They would love to stick it to the critics and the haters. Are you kidding me? They would tell us that being able to do that would make us eat crow and basically show that, yeah, we were actually in the minority, when in most cases, a lot of games that get critiqued heavily by people would call quote unquote the chuds, or I guess boomer gamers, or whatever how you want to call it. Yeah, no, they would want to put us in our place, because if they're able to make those kind of announcements, it looks really good for the company, therefore it looks good for the shareholders. It increases trust in the company, gets more money, more sales. So why wouldn't they do that? Okay? They haven't. And not to mention, of course, the sales of the previous games would go up, because guess what? The third and final installment of the series has just been announced. That's the natural course of gaming. When a new game is announced, especially the final of the trilogy, yes, the previous games are going to sell because people are going to want to get this full story before the final part of the game. Okay? And I like to make mention, when were these games being sold? Okay? I know the article says like even before Summerfest, but I believe that people already knew that Revelations was going to be announced. At least the third game, I don't think we knew the exact name of it yet. But there was also a big sale, the summer sale. So when people start saying like, "Oh, look at that, we got huge sales during the summer." During the summer, yes, there's huge discounts. The discount for Final Fantasy Remake was ridiculous. It was 65%, I believe, like $20. And that included Integrated, the DLC. And then Rebirth was only slightly more than that. But you can even bundle. Okay, bundle the both games, Rebirth and Remake, along with the integrated DLC for under $35. It's like $31.99, I believe, if I remember correctly. Who wouldn't buy that? Of course, that's going to increase your sales. And with how much and how bad Rebirth we were expecting Rebirth was doing when in its original release, of course, anything would be pretty much better than expected. Of course, they would announce that. But then again, what metric is better than expected? What does that exactly mean? We don't know what that means. That could literally be one more than what they expected. They could technically say, oh yeah, it was better than expected. So that's not a huge win. Not yet. Now, if they release numbers and it's actual legit numbers, not something they just pulled out of their ass, okay, then I'll happily eat crow. I'm pretty sure a lot of us who critique the game because we love it and who actually have integrity will, in fact, we say, yeah, you know what? We were wrong about the sales. I guess it was more popular than we thought. Doesn't change our feelings, doesn't change our critiques about it. But, okay, yeah, we can say that we were wrong about the sales. Hey, no problem. Now, going further, Hamaguchi was saying, and I'd like to preface this, that one of the only reasons I was actually going to get Revelations because I just was not happy with the last two entries of the FF7 Remake trilogy. I was think about someone cautiously approaching an animal. Okay, like you slowly sidestep towards them, and then can I stop? Is it gonna attack? Am I in danger? No? Okay, you continuously going forward. I was gonna cautiously buy it, and especially since I'm streaming, and in my In Memoria series, I'm playing the original FF7, and one of the things I want to do is after the original FF7 is play the remakes, not only to compare with a fresh playthrough of the original FF7 in my head, but because the final trilogy, or the final entry to the trilogy is coming. Okay? And that's one of the only reasons I was actually going to buy it is because I am streaming. Well, Hamaguchi came out talking about the ending. And I cannot believe what I read. Okay? He was saying that the ending could be pretty faithful to the original, could be completely different, might be slight changes, might be a whole bunch of changes. Who knows? And that got me saying, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like I stopped my approach of this unknown wild beast and said, whoa, 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 whoa. What do you mean? What do you mean that the ending could be either the same or different? You literally told us nothing, first off. And that just tells me, like, you did something in the ending. You're trying to talk, you're trying to kind of give a pre-impression about the ending already. You did something that we may not like. Actually, I'm pretty sure we may not like because from the previous two entries. You changed something. Okay? And he's saying that, oh, he wants the ending to make us feel glad that we played the game. Well, newsflash. A lot of us critics already aren't too glad that we already played it. So what exactly are you going to do? Okay? How is it that you're going to make us feel like, oh, we were actually so glad despite all the flaws of the game that, yeah, we would love to play it? You've already screwed up one of the biggest scenes and most, like, quintessential scenes of the game in Rebirth was Aerith's death scene. Perhaps one of the most famous scenes of all of gaming history that even those who have never played FF7 know about. Okay, you screwed that up with the multi-dimensional bullcrap. Okay, and I only gave it like the tiniest bit of faith is because I remember previous interviews when they kind of discussed the slight backlash from Remake having to do with the fake ghosts and all the changes they made. And it's like, oh, going forward from Rebirth, that we're going to be a little bit more faithful to the story. And well, guess what? Spoiler alert, in Rebirth, you really weren't. Yeah, you kind of hit the same beats, but the way you went around it is ridiculous and so long-winded, and changes that didn't need to be made. You know, I'm looking at the freaking little cruise boat that you did going to Costa del Sol. I'm looking at that. I'm looking at the old Eris Destiny. I'm looking at Gongaga. I'm looking at the Gold Saucer. Even though some of the Gold Saucer stuff I did like, the freaking intro to that was way over the top. I just could not believe what I was watching. So I want to know what exactly he means that, oh, we're going to be glad that we played it. Like, why? How? Okay. And funny enough, I originally thought that, oh, he was meaning that there's probably going to be like multiple endings, because he did make mention in another article that the journey to get to the ending in Revelation will differ from player to player, that he wants players to have different experiences. Here's the thing. Final Fantasy VII has an established storyline, okay? Each part of that storyline, each beat, is important to the overall narrative and creating the feelings within the player. Interpretations will differ depending upon our own experiences and our own mindset while we're playing, and our own connections to the characters, okay? Yes, I get that. That's one way, and probably the most important way, that a player can actually, their journey will differ, okay? So, but what you're telling me is that there's going to be so much things in this game that the main journey, the way that the story is going to differ. Some of the way the story can differ can make the ending and everything previous to it from Remake and Rebirth be a lot less effective. That's like this is not a great idea unless you made a game and that has a narrative that actually gives way to multiple paths to get there, and that leads to an ending that's actually satisfactory and still holds to the main story the way that you want the player to take away from the story. Then why? I mean, why do it? Final Fantasy VII is just not one of those games that we should be doing that for. Okay, the beats, the way that it was told in the original was important. There's a reason why Final Fantasy series has become such a titan in the RPG genre and is known for its story because of the way they tell it. Yes, there's differences in side quests. There's differences in the way that any like random number, like maybe not every player may not get all attacks. Their playthrough may have been easier because they were able to discover some weapons that may not have been another player may have. That the side quests might open up a little bit more of the story, so you have a better understanding of characters that might have kind of twisted the ending the way that a player might view the ending. Okay, so I am a little worried about that, but at least as he says also in the article, that because it did fix my thought that there's gonna be multiple endings. He's like, oh no, he would want the ending for the story to be basically the same for every player. It's just that the journey is going to be different, which still that's quite an undertaking, and I don't think that you should be doing that with the Final Fantasy VII. It already has a very established ending, an established story. established beats and how to do it. Now I know that you've differed it, but you can still, you know, go to the actual, you know, ending that people know and people have discussed to this day. I mean, there's interpretations to the original Final Fantasy VII ending to this day. Okay. And then he discussed at the ending to the trilogy, he says he wants to tie all of the other games, that is like Dirge of Cerberus, Crisis Core, Before Crisis, even Advent Children, he wants to tie it more to the world, basically make it like for sure canon, like yes, it's gonna happen. And then makes you think, okay, so the original FF7 OG, I'm about to die here, was still stood on its own. Everything else was extra. Okay, it was supposed to kind of give a little more explanation about the characters from that led up to the OG, as well as possibilities of what's comes after. Now you're gonna make those canon, and that what we believe is that this new Final Fantasy is the OG was kind of like a vision given to Aerith from Remake. I'm sorry, but it feels like what you're gonna do is you're making the OG just be a fever dream, and then the remake be more of the main timeline, because then that main timeline is actually going to give way and make mention to the other games in the series. So then that makes them all on one timeline, and then that basically also means like OG never happened. So you made basically OG not canon in a sense, in that way. Now I know that's not how it is, and that's just me theorizing, but yeah, no, if you make the remake timeline actually connect to the other stories from the other games, then the entire compilation bases off of the remake timeline, and then the timeline of the OG is basically, yeah, just basically a fever dream. It's just one random vision and possibility that Aerith saw from Remake, which we suspected. That's why we think the remakes trilogy is actually a sequel, which is stupid. Okay. Now, they also made mention that discuss that. We'll discuss what Yoshi P also said going in there. They were talking about how if FF8 and FF9 and FF6 were actually remade, that they would have to, the games would be 4 to 5 discs big, basically. Now, at least they're consistent with the argument, those who are like, oh, of course FF7 Remake had to be remade with 3 games because there's 3 discs. No. You know what would have helped it not be 3 discs? All the extra bullcrap that didn't need to be in there. Okay? Now, that doesn't say that some of the extra stuff wasn't good. In fact, a lot of people say, the heavier critics said, the expansions to the story, the locations and the characters were good if they were serviceable to the original entry. They simply expanded upon that story. That it made sense. A lot of it didn't. In fact, the entire Fate Ghost, the multiple timelines, no, that's something that just didn't need to be done. You didn't need to bring back Zack. You didn't need to do any of that. That's just... You're just creating extra space on a disc that didn't need to be done. Keep the pace. Keep the original pace. The pacing of the game. You should have been fine. I mean, you've already made a lot of the assets, so, I mean, how much more new assets are you going to need? If you just made all the assets, you could just remade them, reuse them, and you would have been fine. You don't even need to make can continuously make new discs and new games to keep all those assets. I mean, most game consoles nowadays have an internal hard drive, so you can just put them on there. Like, there's no reason to have that many discs. I know the FF8 and FF9 were originally 4 discs. Doesn't mean the remakes would need to be. And FF6, are you kidding me? That was one game on the one Super Nintendo cartridge. In what world would you need to have that to be 4 to 5 discs? I know the world could be big, but come on now. Literally just do the most minimum changes besides graphics and voice acting. Maybe you do a little bit expansion, but not with the modern storage devices. Are you kidding me? Come on now. But none of the games need to be remade anyways. I'm sorry, but FF9 stands on its own just fine. Sure, I would love a little more expansion to Freya's, to Freya's storyline. I would have loved that. But with how Square Enix treated FF7 Remake, why would I want them to? That's insane. The only one from the PS1 era I could think of, or pretty much almost any of the eras, is FF8. Could use a remake, I guess, because it's so convoluted. After the first disc, the story just kind of goes off the rails a little bit. Talking about also basically all the main characters were children in the same orphanage, and the only reason they forgot was because of the Guardian Forces. That's a little far out there. It was a little hard to suspend my disbelief. So, I mean, I just don't trust Square Enix to make any remakes, and remakes can work. Look at Resident Evil's 1 for the GameCube, Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 4. Those remakes were fantastic. And the changes they were made, even though some of them I didn't agree with, were still fine. They never took anything truly away. Now, Resident Evil 3's remake, oh, that took a lot away. That was screwed up. And you know what? Don't need to play that. Probably will, because Resident Evil 3 will be part of In Memoria. So we'll go ahead and do that. Right? We'll still play it. If you remake anything, remake Legend of Dragoon, freaking Legend of Gaia, freaking Xenogears. Let's do that, but not by you, Square. You stay away that. You stay the hell away from it. And why the hell are we even listening to Yoshi P about this? Like, he did great things for 14 back in the day. I think he needs to retire now as someone who, with like fresh ideas and understanding of the previous expansions and what made those stories work, and have a consistent good team. Like you had one, the Shadowbringers, even Endwalker was pretty good, Heaven's Word was pretty good, Stormblood was good. I'm about to die again. They had a really good team, and people just went on to different projects. But yeah, Yoshi P, bro, you need to retire. You did good things. Like, you should have went out on top, and now, dude, the opinion of you these days are just not that great. So let's not listen about Yoshi P. I mean, I know he did 16, but especially why we listened to him when he did 16. 16, I actually never played because I don't trust Square anymore. Like, I have no reason to give them any more money than I would really need to, if at all. And what I heard, 16, from what I heard from people who I trust in gaming, says in the beginning it was good. It had great start. But it quickly became a pacing problem and was just too long in the tooth later on. And became very, people said, like, MMO-like. A lot of like fetch quests and things. So yeah, I'm not missing it. I mean, I might play it, but I'm definitely not gonna buy it. I'll just freaking borrow my brother's copy. There's no reason for me to, to waste money on it, right? So let's hold basically what Yoshi P's the heart. Now, to be fair, in some of the comments on some of the videos that were discussing this as well, that in the article, Yoshi P was talking about the reason why there shouldn't be remakes. And you know what, Yoshi, if that's what you were talking about when you made those statements, then absolutely. Square should not remake those games. Let someone else handle it if you need to. Figure out a way to make it on one freaking disc, one freaking game. Or if you need to have one game but multiple discs, sure. And we have to install it, fine, I'd do that. But yeah, no, come on now. Now, whole other thing is, Yoshi was talking about how Yamaguchi should direct FF17, and people were like craving for him to actually work on 17, to be director of 17. He's a co-director of the Remake trilogy, right? Why would we want anything Hamaguchi to touch if he was in fact, if he was director, then he would have to have signed off on the storyline, unless there was another director who was in charge of that. Why would we want him to touch it? Why? Now, if he was in charge of the battle system for it, maybe sure. I mean, I personally would have preferred FF7 Remake to be turn-based, but I mean, the action was still fun. The action and combat was still fun. I enjoyed it. I mean, it's one of those things that I'm not heavily critical on. In fact, it was funny. I think that if the Final Fantasy VII Remake trilogy actually was not about Final Fantasy VII, they still took the same games, but made its own original IP, original characters, original setting, it wouldn't have as much controversy as it does today. I think the game would have done a hell of a lot better. Now, in the beginning, it wouldn't have as much sales because would be a brand new IP, but I think it would gave a lot more trust to Square that they could still make really good IP. If they just made those games just not about Final Fantasy VII, because you put an expectation and you use the word remake, so you would have avoided all of this nonsense, all this controversy, this hate, this critiques, if you just made it not about Final Fantasy VII. Heck, now you make it about Final Fantasy, like literally an original IP. You would probably sold a hell of a lot more, and there wouldn't be so much trepidation about the third game. Now, it kind of sucks that, yeah, there still would have been 3 games for one story, and I played Pokemon, and I'm actually a huge fan of the Dot Hack series. I'm not a stranger to companies breaking down a story into multiple games, which, let's be real, the only reason they did it, the only reason they split the Final Fantasy VII Remake really is for money, to get extra money. For one storyline, you're basically playing, if you do the old $60 game per new game thought process on it, it's $180 for one story, versus it would have been the $60 you usually would have paid for an RPG of that size. So let's not get that twisted. It's still sucky business practices, even if it was new IP, but I still probably would have bought it, enjoyed it. It'd been something new, but I mean, you're messing with the game that meant a tons to so many freaking people, that literally defined the gamers that they are today. And yeah, no, it was just not a good move. And let's discuss what people talk about when critiquing remake. Like, oh, it's a remake, what do you think was going to be happen? What's the definition of remake? Like the literal child definition: to make again from the ground up. Okay, guess what? Final Fantasy VII Remake, if they literally made it look, yeah, they literally made it look the same, but they literally remade the game, programming from the ground up. All new assets, but the assets look very similar to the old ones. Still a remake. Probably call it a remaster because probably the graphics would be a little higher fidelity. Now, if you did say, not necessarily 1-to-1, but expansions like in, say, Remake, where they expanded the storylines to Jesse, Biggs, and Wedge. If they would have done that, okay, and then, you know, so a little bit of expansion to the environments of Sector 6 and Sector 7. It's a remake. Now, what we got is a revision, a hidden sequel. Okay. Where's my map? So, I don't want to hear that, oh, it was called a remake. What do you think was going to happen? What I wanted was a very close game to the original, but with modern day graphics. And for those of you who say like, oh, what was the point of if it being so close to the original? We wouldn't buy them. Like, no, yes you would. Who are you trying to fool? You try a modern day graphics, fully voice acted with slightly expansion story to one of the biggest RPGs of all time that made Square Enix a titan as that is today in the RPG genre. You would have 100% would have bought it. Don't kid yourself. All right. And for those who haven't played the original, yeah, they would have gotten an experience so much closer and could have been improved to the original. You could have said that it could have actually replaced as a definitive addition to the original for their storyline, rather than no, the OG is the definitive edition. This is just a sequel, you know. But no, I'm sorry, but you're all lying. I'm just gonna say that right now, okay? The fact that you're defending it so hard is just because you just want a battle. You want to quote unquote own the Cheds. No, sorry. I don't buy it. All right. Freaking so sick and tired. I'm so sick and tired of this freaking discourse. I'm gonna be honest with you. Just want a freaking just modern day freaking remake of one of the most cherished games of all time. No, not to say that Remake and Rebirth didn't have good things about them, but could have been better. You know? And also, yeah, no, let's tackle the argument real quick about this thing, like, oh no, the original still exists. Yeah. Pure technicality, yes, it does exist. Would still exist no matter what. However, let's see how when you release a newer version of the game, okay, what actually happens. Okay, yes, it is not the original. The original does exist. However, those graphics are really outdated. Still have their charm, but they're really outdated. So most modern gamers, okay, will not touch it because of that. And how I know, how I'm not just pulling that out of my ass, because people have said so. But they didn't touch the original FF7 because the graphics were so old. Okay? Now, if you even played the remakes of the original, what most people come to mind will be the most recent entries, when those will be remakes. So when you just start discussing FF7, they're going to think about the remakes first. Okay? Because it's newer. It has voice acting. It has all the flashy bits. Okay? And yes, a lot of it was fun. So yes, we're going to think about that first. So no, it's going to de facto replace the original in a lot of people's minds, just for the simple fact that it is newer. And it did have a lot of story beats, and not the 95% way that most people are saying, like, oh, it's not. No, it wasn't. Come on now, get that out of here. Play the damn game, and you know for a fact that it's just not true. Okay, but it's just enough that when people think FF7, they're going to think about the remake series. Okay, all those of us who understand and truly appreciate the story are like, no, FF7 is the original. Remakes, although fun games, are just poorly misdone sequel, and that's it. I think that's enough of that. I mean, come on now. You know, the only thing that really made good today is it's the end of the week, so I'm not sure if any of you guys have poutine or know what poutine is. It's one of the few things that was good that came out of French Canada. It's a French Canadian dish that, so it's basically just fries, gravy, and cheese curds. Very simple, but damn delicious. As most simple, you know, some of the most best tasting stuff is. It's very simple. So at the end of my work week, and I'll try to eat better. I'm slightly failing. Well, I'm eating better than what I used to. I can definitely tell you that. But at the end of my work week, I treat myself, and I have brisket poutine that I get from the local store. So it's, you know, it's the fries. They like seasoned fries that they have with local cheese curds. You can get spicy cheese curds if you actually ask for it. Beef gravy, their house smoked brisket, and then on top of that is what's that cheese, like Bosun? I think this is Bosun. Oh my gosh, off the top of my head, what's it called? A Bosun fondue. Okay, like a cheese sauce, like very garlicky, really nice tasting, very tangy. Oh my gosh, it is so good. Very filling. It's like $9, but it's very filling. You can also get like a nice heaping side of mac and cheese to go along with it. Their house mac and cheese. I mean, it's nothing special, but you know, it's nice, creamy. It hits the spot. So that's my end of the week, like, treat for myself. I know it's Wednesday, but I had to take the next couple days off because my brother is having going underneath the knife for his knees because he screwed up his knees, and we believe that he tore his meniscus, and it's like pretty bad. Like the actual tissue is trapped underneath bone. So yeah, it's like really hard to walk. So he needs to go underneath the knife, and I'm gonna be there like if he needs anything for Friday. So I'm taking the next 2 days off. So today is my end of the work week. So I am going to get my poutine. And it's one of the few things I look forward to. It makes kind of all the BS that happens of the week worth it to me. Although generally I did expand that, I also will get it after my Saturday workout too. Just to let you know a little bit extra. It's funny enough that I get it so often that I don't need to order it when they see me coming in the store. Especially because I have my freaking work uniform on, so they know it's me when I'm coming in. Dude, I'm sorry. I'm sucking so bad at this. Like, I played this for so long that I should know how to do this. But yeah, no. Yeah, they know who I'm coming. And even on Saturday, even when I'm in like civilian clothes, I say civilian like I'm in the military or something. No, I'm about to freaking die again. They know who I am, and I go to 2 different stores because it's 2 different stores that sell it. They both know. They both know me by my face, and they like I got yelled at because I was standing in line one time, and I was one person that got there before me like, oh, I'm still deciding, so you go ahead and order for me. And the little girl that's at the counter is like, you don't need to order. We know what you want. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. You know, I'm sorry that I like you guys' stuff so much. It's basically what I get almost every week. But no, it was it's freaking hilarious. But yeah, you know what? with all the bull crap, and like I don't like going off. Like I want this channel, especially Morning Quickie, to be very positive. There is enough channels, enough VTubers that cover stuff, that all this drama that I want. When you look at my channel, you look at my avatar, I want you to think like positive, good times. Not overly so, because there will be topics that we will need to discuss. And if you ask me about my opinion about some controversial topic, I will tell you. Okay, like you need to hear. There are things that you will need to hear, and I want to make sure that you hear it. And I want to hear it from my mouth rather than an interpretation that someone else might have about me. Okay, but generally when I want you to come here, I want you to think good things. Okay, but no, it had to be said. And I know I suck at talking. Like my mind is not made for conversation. I'll show it through action, my thoughts through actions, and I know what I'm talking about. But it doesn't help that I don't know how to discuss it, so other people generally don't know what I'm talking about, and I usually get long-winded. As you said, like I repeated myself a couple of times in that rant. So I fully knew about that, right? But no, it just had to be said. I'm just so sick and tired of all this discourse and misinformation and dishonest discussions about the remake trilogy and any gaming in general. It's something that I take to heart, because it's my main way of escaping, because I keep my freaking thumb on all world goings. I listen to all sides of the conversation, trying to figure out what's actually going on, and gaming is the way I'm able to unwind and relax and just put my head back into my little lazy boy chair, play games, and now I'm able to stream with VTubing and have a way to we have enough time, I think, for one more run. Yeah, no, I'm just sucking hind tit. Like I'm so distracted, but you know what? It's fun. This is made for. Oh, hold on, I have tons of money. What am I doing? This is that's the way, yeah, just for me to try and connect with people better. Is I just, like I said, I don't talk too much in real life. So this is a good way for me to vent and to connect with people and to share my love of gaming, So yeah, the more honesty we have in gaming, the better. And the more that we're able to just casually discuss things, our life and our experiences, I think just be better for us mentally and as gamers in general. And if we can honestly start, having honest critiques, then we can actually start trying to steer gaming back to passion, rather than having to meet a quota or some arbitrary diversity quota, some arbitrary money quota, and so yeah, I would love to see that, and I'm hoping that in some way that I can contribute to that, Even though I really don't, I don't have much of an audience now, but one day, I'm hoping. Speaking of which, chat, what are you all having for coffee this morning? So I ran out of the, I had on Monday, a combination of, I know I said I had the churro coffee. I believe I forgot to mention that I also combined it with like sea salt coffee, sea salt caramel coffee. I think I made mention to it, but yeah, no, I ran out of the sea salt caramel coffee, and it's also very expensive. Someone gifted it to me. That's the only reason I bought it. Like I won't buy coffee, like if it's above $10, and it has to be like a pretty big bag. So I generally get like the store generic brands. Although one of my favorite coffee flavors is the store generic brand of Highland Grog, and that's supposed to be very like have hints of like rummy, caramelly, or butterscotchy flavor, and it's really good. Hit that cold with a little bit of sugar-free vanilla creamer, or I've had it with a butterscotch creamer and a caramel creamer, and all of them do really good. And strangely enough, I feel that could be wrong, but I've tasted coffee candy, and I didn't used to like the taste of coffee, but it's a slightly cheaper alternative to energy drinks, even though I still have a lot of energy drinks. But I bet a lot less, and I drink more coffee, that I got used to the actual taste of coffee. And I found a lot of flavors that I really, really like. But I have a feeling, and I could be wrong, that the coffee candy that I used to taste tastes very similar to the Highland Grog flavor. And I'm wondering if that's the general flavor for a lot of coffee candies. I could be completely wrong on that, but it's just a thought, you know? If it is, then these candy companies have pretty damn good taste in their coffees. Now, I really want to try some. There's this World Trade, not the World Trade Center, but World Market. I forget. It's a store kind of in the big shopping center near me. They have coffees. I think is it Japanese coffee? I forget where it's from. It's very expensive though because it's an import, but it's like strawberry something, like strawberries and cream. I really want to try that. Strawberries and cream is like one of my top tier flavors. Like, you get me a candy from like all fruits, I will always get strawberries and cream. So I mean, a coffee like that probably should be just as good, right? And then I wouldn't even hit that with like if you add a creamer. I wouldn't actually probably do a flavored creamer. I'd most likely do either like a whole milk, or maybe like a slight like half and half, or maybe even only a little bit of heavy whipping cream. That'd probably like be really good. You know, I've been working on making a sugar-free ice cream, and a couple times I've tried it. We've had pretty decent success, although it always comes out hard, and it feels like more like the texture of, and when you try and scoop it, it's more like slightly creamier shaved ice. It melts really quickly, but it tastes really good. So I'm trying to figure out a way to better get the consistency just right, so it doesn't feel like I'm eating ice and having to chip away at it, or keep it out, keep the container out slightly so it melts a little bit. But I really started getting into making sugar-free desserts. I guess it was like seasonal depression one Christmas. And I was like, okay, I need to get my mind off things. So I decided to start trying to make sugar-free desserts, right? Because I heard about monk fruit, and I was like, okay, well, why don't we try using monk fruit? It's like some of my favorite desserts came from those experiments. Like I made a sugar-free pecan pie. That is killer. Okay, it uses an almond flour crust that is just to die for, and the caramel sauce, or whatever you want to call it, that you use to drizzle the pecans with, that's kind of like the base of it, right, besides the pecans themselves, is so good. It tastes like just a slightly richer Werther's original caramels, sugar-free. It's so good. I made a separate batch of that stuff, and I used it for the sugar-free ice cream. Oh, it's so good. So what they did is, so now what I did, like I said, my mind rambles a lot, but it was probably the worst starting dessert I made for sugar-free, because pecan pie is actually very complicated to make in terms of just like in general desserts and pies. But it came out really good, and I was really proud of myself. So on top of that, I also made, like I said, the sugar-free sugar-free eggnog ice cream. That one I had to do like 3 batches because it requires the eggs, right? But you have to cook it in a saucepan into a certain temperature. And I let it cook too long, or I guess I didn't stir it just right. And yeah, I got basically very sweet scrambled eggs. I didn't taste them because when I have scrambled eggs, it needs to be it needs to be savory, cheesy, and full of hot sauce. That's why I don't eat like I try not to eat flan, because although flan generally can taste good, when you get flan that has a kind of scrambled eggy texture to it, even the slightest, or you can taste the eggs in it, it's just nah, I'm good, man. So I had to make it 3 times, and the 3rd batch actually came out really well. And then I made sugar-free eggnog by itself. That came out really well. People actually love that. And I actually made a sugar-free whipped cream that you can put on top of it. And then you drizzled the sugar-free caramel sauce base that I made for the pecan pie. Oh, it was a killer. I'll also add like a little bit of nutmeg and cinnamon on top of that. Oh boy, that was good. And then I also made sugar-free hot cocoa because my mother one year for Christmas made this like really high quality hot cocoa that we put in like a crock pot, and then you would just kind of ladle it throughout all of Christmas Day. And then like you had like marshmallows and peppermint candies you can put in there and stuff. Oh, that was so good. So I wanted to make a sugar-free version of that. Because my mother's also joined me in the sugar-free diets, which we're holding damn strong too. But yeah, I wanted something that she can eat as well, and it was fantastic. And then that evolved into, I'm not sure if you guys have had it, Christmas crack. Although I didn't know that what it was called. We just called it like just toffee that my aunt actually made for me one year. It became one of my favorite desserts of all time. So basically it's just crackers and then brown sugar and butter mixture. Then you pour it on top of the crackers that you lay it down in a sheet, and then you melt some chocolate, baker's chocolate, add a little bit of sugar to that, and then pour it on top, bake it a little bit, and then bring it out of the oven and let it cool. And then I guess you call it crack because you kind of just crack the entire pan, and it makes, and then the crackers help the squares keep shape, right? And that I've decided to make a sugar-free version of that. So I made 2 versions. So they make a sugar-free brown sugar. I think it's like a variation of the monk fruit, or it's a different kind of fruit altogether, or something. However they make monk fruit is kind of similar, but it makes it like a brown version of it. And then there's also, I made one with my own homemade brown sugar, which was like monk fruit, maple extract, and there was something else to it too. Both came out really good. So I used that. I used very bitter baker's chocolate that I added monk fruit sugar, or monk sugar, and vanilla extract, and like some cream to it, just to kind of make it less bitter and slightly sweetened. And that came out really good. The only thing with the weird thing I noticed about monk sugar, anything made with monk sugar, it makes your mouth cold. It gives weird mouth cold, and it's really hard to not get a grainy texture to it. Although, I mean, it doesn't take away from the flavor. But yeah, no, it's oh, am I so bad at this? No, yeah, no, I'm dead. No, it created a you know what? No, we've got time for one more run. Yeah, no, I'm about to get freaking addicted to this again. Yeah, no, it gets a little bit grainy and makes your mouth feel cool. It's a little weird. but that came out well. And then my mom surprised me with a sugar-free Texas sheet cake. I'm not sure if you actually ever had that, but it's basically like a very, can be a very dense chocolate cake, but very flat. Basically takes the shape of a slightly raised cooking sheet. And then on top of it is, it's like a ganache that kind of hardens slightly. Yeah, no, it's like really simple but fantastic desserts. You know, we made a sugar-free version of that. Like it's very dangerous because I will eat a lot of it. Yes, I don't have to worry about the sugar, but I still have to worry about the caloric intake. There's still calories to that damn thing, right? But that came out well. And I think, what else did I do? I made, well, I was looking up how to make a sugar-free cake. A lot of it, I couldn't find like a really decent sugar-free cake. A lot of it was like keto, but I didn't like the recipe of it. So I wanted to make what I wanted to do for St. Patrick's Day is I wanted to make a sugar-free grasshopper cake. And grasshopper cake is basically just mint with like a dark chocolate frosting on top of it. And then you, like, on top of that, once the chocolate has cooled and came a little more dense, then you put like a layer of whipped cream on top of that, right? Well, I wanted to make a sugar-free version of that, couldn't find it. I didn't find a recipe I liked. So I made a sugar-free mint ice cream. Then I made a sugar-free chocolate sauce and then sugar-free whipped cream on that. That came out really good. Very minty. And very hit the spot, like on really hot days. Ooh, it was nice. It was really nice. Just had the same problem that it was really hard to get out of the damn container that was in. But I decided to make another batch, and I put it in instead of sugar almond flour, I made coconut flour pie crust, homemade. That came out really well, like fantastic. And then I was able to put like a layer of sugar-free chocolate ganache, and then a sugar-free whipped cream on top of that to make a basic looking pie. Although I had to basically beat the devil out of it to make a slice. Like there's got to be some way to make it easier to cut and get out of the damn container. But no, that came out well. I think the only other thing I did so far, no, two other things, is I made sugar-free graham crackers that I used for a third batch of Christmas crack. Fantastic, dude. I ate like half of the sugar-free graham cracker batch by itself. It was really good. And then the other thing was, so what I thought was once Christmas crack turned out not to be. It was a peppermint fudge that my mom also used to make during Christmas. So my mother and I worked on it to make a sugar-free version. Came out really well. So it's basically like a pink fudge that you generally have like jet puff, like the marshmallow cream. And then you also take crushed candy canes and pour it on top of that layer of the marshmallow cream. That's also on top of the fudge. So we made a sugar-free version of that. You can't tell it's not sugar. There's no sugar in it at all. I mean, there is a little bit of sugar in the peppermint, but you can use that sparingly, and it's not enough sugar to really throw you off of your diet. I feel it's barely anything. I will have a little bit of sugar with the because a lot of protein powders would include like a gram or two of sugar. As long as you keep it, eating in moderation, you're fine, right? So that's always that was something that was just great. Now I want to see the entire reason I went on this tangent was because of coffee, and I want to make a sugar-free coffee ice cream or sugar-free coffee cake. That would be amazing, I feel. And the reason I want to do that is because I like to make cold coffee. Just not a fan of hot coffee. I want to make cold coffee so I can make, for desserts, a sugar-free coffee milkshake. Or if you don't like milk, because like full milk has a lot of sugar in it. Weirdly enough, like when I found that out, I was like, oh damn, let's calm that down. Because I used to use for my protein shakes, I used to use whole milk. No, won't be doing that again. What I'd use now is almond milk. And although it's not as good, like the whole milk, I mean, it was made so much better milk protein shakes. But I use almond milk, and it's a lot better than water. You can probably use like almond milk or oat milk instead of regular milk for your milkshake. I think that would be fantastic. And going on to food, because it's in the morning, I'm hungry because I haven't had breakfast yet. I was looking up those articles for the FF7 rant. I was making a thumbnail for it because I knew like I would probably have to cut it out. It was going to be a long, like 2/3 of this damn video was that rant itself. But yeah, no, for breakfast, I think, even though I'm gonna go ham with that brisket poutine. I do get like so I work around this this food pantry as well. We have a food pantry in the location that I work, so I also help service that. They get donations from some fast food places, some of the leftover stuff that they will give to the people who go there. So sometimes the workers will give me Chick-fil-A that Chick-fil-A donated to them. That's still good. I mean, it still has if you keep it frozen, it still has a decent, life to it. No, I don't eat fast. I try not to eat fast food. Like, really, the only fast food I'll eat is the poutine on the special days. But I will sometimes throw in a couple of those donated chicken strips into my air fryer. Yeah, no. Sometimes they'll also give me macaroni and cheese. Now, I mean, their macaroni and cheese isn't, it's fast food macaroni and cheese. What do you expect? I mean, as long as you eat in moderation, generally I'm okay with it. But what I like to do is I try and spice it up, and I think I'm going to have some of that today. If I, this will be probably my last run, but just so I have enough time to eat and all that, and I have to download it, and I have to not only make the VOD, but I'm going to cut out that rant, and I have to make it more feasible to listen to because I had all my pauses, and I have to organize my mind during my ramblings. But no, I'm gonna take that macaroni and cheese, and I'm gonna hit it up. So what I do is like I usually cook it in a pan. I'll throw it in some butter, and then put in the cheese. I'll add some milk to help reconstitute it, and then I will add extra cheeses to it. Like if we have like mozzarella, just the standard shredded, the pre-shredded Mexican cheese that they sell in a lot of stores that you usually use for like tacos and quesadillas and whatnot. And then I'll also add like spices like garlic powder, onion powders, paprika, cayenne, just to, kick it up a notch. And then hot sauces. I'll throw in hot sauces and stir that in. And I do this very rarely because I found out it's just really heavy. I'll add Velveeta to it sometimes. Like I said, I do that rarely because the Velveeta is so heavy with that kind of mac and cheese. Like it kills me. Generally, I go by the rule is if I feel full at the end of the meal, I might have eaten a little too much. I just want to feel satisfied, and that's about it. if I'm not like trying to watch my calorie count at that time, I will, yeah, no, it's like, okay, how full am I? Okay, you know, and that's how generally I will judge it when I don't have the ability to count calories. So I know, like, hey, if I'm too full, then I can go ahead and cut the meal in two, and then like save it and heat it up for like the next day or something. So that is my plan for breakfast after this. I currently have some thawed in my fridge, my garage fridge, and we'll go for that. So I'm wondering, like, how many of you chat if you listen to the video or hear live? Like, what do you like to eat? You know, do you guys cook? And if you do, like, what do you cook? Because I find that cooking myself is quite cathartic. It's a pain in the ass, don't get me wrong, especially doing dishes afterwards kind of sucks. Because I like to get on the dishes right away as soon as I cook. Because I don't want to have to freaking, you know, go eat and then have all the food mess in the dishes cool. So I try and get to that like right away, so I can just sit down, eat to my leisure, and just like enjoy myself without having to think like, oh, I gotta get up and do all that after I'm done eating. But no, cooking is very cathartic, and you know, gives you life skills for, you know, I feel that, you know, everyone should try and get married and find that, you know, special someone. But you know, it's good skills, and you know, if you get a partner that they'll freaking, like a wife or husband, they'll appreciate it. You know, especially if you're a guy, and the lady is the one that's, you know, actually cooking. Generally all the time while you're working, you go for a more traditional and I feel correct way of that relationship. Although with economics nowadays, it's becoming a little bit harder, or actually a lot harder, nigh impossible. Trust me, I know. Basically, my mom and dad had to work both basically their entire lives. But if you're able to do the traditional thing and the woman cooks, hey, if you're a guy and if you know how to cook, dude, your wife would appreciate it. If you're able to cook like every once in a while and you make, you know, good stuff. Brother, this is the last run. Like, brother, they will love you for it. They maybe even give you the dirty, you know, expand on their wifely duties a little bit. Just saying, you know, not only you get, you know, food for yourself, food for your wife, but you know, you're able to feed the husband and wife bond in more than one ways. I'll tell you that right now. All right. Next time we play this, hopefully I won't suck hind tit, you know, be as retarded as a damn honey drunk bear. But you know, it's still fun. Maybe I won't be so distracted by my freaking hate boner for damn overly toxically positive freaking game lovers and taking freaking critiques and taking them out of proportions. But yeah, I think we're gonna call that there. Whew. That was fun. I love today. I'm hoping that, you know, we actually get some watchers and enjoy that one, because boy, that was something. So I have to go ahead and cut that one, that bad boy. I did not notice that they freaking had a little spammer in there. You got through. You got past my nosing. Well done on you, but you got to go. So, all right, guys. I really hope you had fun. That was fun, and hopefully my rant didn't kind of scare you away too much. I'm gonna go ahead and cut that and make its own video. And then everything else, I really hope you actually enjoy the food talk, because, you know, I find that food talk in the morning is really good, gets you going. Especially if you had breakfast, you're like, okay, now I can eat breakfast. Now I'm looking forward to it. Now I can have like a really decent meal that lasts me through the day. Might be able to skip dinner, you know. And I'm hoping that my gameplay sucked time did. Don't get me wrong. That was like some of the worst things I've ever had. Yeah, man. It was basically like when I first started, I died all the damn time, and then I got really good. But no, that one was bad. I couldn't even get any of the evolved weapons. That was terrible. Okay. All right, guys. Happy Wednesday, and I hope you enjoy your day. It's middle of the week. Happy hump day. Get through there. Get that bag. Hit that grind. Whatever you got to do, just do it to the fullest, 110%. Right? We're almost to Friday. You guys gonna get there. I'm gonna get there. And we're gonna enjoy our weekend. All right, guys. Have a great day. Hope to see you on Friday. I should be able to stream that day, I feel. So, all right. I will see you then, and we might play the HoloLive version of a Bullet Heaven game, or maybe Terraria. Something that I can progress decently quickly. Maybe Palworld, like a fresh creative thing of Palworld. Or maybe it could be hit like MMO, maybe. Like Ragnarok Online. You guys want to watch Ragnarok Online? Dude, that takes me back. Or maybe Guild Wars, too. Well, either way, I'll figure it out, and I'll let you guys know. All right, guys. Have a great day. I'll see you soon. Later.